We're back with another short webinar to support parents through our Parent Hub webinar series. In this webinar, we're focusing on preparing your teen for safer socialising. So the ethos of our webinar series, as always, is to encourage you around your parenting role, to remind you that you're the most important influence in your child's life, and to encourage you to continue to have conversations with young people around substance use at an age and stage appropriate level, that it's a regular conversation and not just a once-off. So in this webinar, we'll be bringing you evidence-based information and advice on how to prepare your child for social life. So this webinar is part of our Stay Safe, Stay Sober initiative. And as part of the initiative, we've recently visited the 81 secondary schools in our region, counties Galway, Mayo and Roscommon, to speak with TY students awaiting junior cert results. So this is an initiative, a personal safety harm reduction talk in conjunction with An Garda Síochána community policing team to help young people prepare for safer social isolation. So thank you for taking the time to view our webinar. The message in relation to this webinar is that, as young people move into senior cycle in school, they become more independent, they gain more responsibility, but they now need our guidance and support more than ever to help them navigate this stage of teenage years, to help support the development of their executive functioning, to help them navigate the potential for experimentation and temptation as these elements become more likely now in their lives and in their social circles. And it's important that we don't assume automatic safety, that we're aware as parents, as guardians, that we have a responsibility to provide guidance and direction to help young people to continue to grow and develop in this area, particularly around their social life and socialising. You will hear some data referenced in relation to the Planet Youth Icelandic model of primary prevention around substance use, an initiative that has been rolling out in our region of the west of Ireland for the last 8 years. And we have some data from our most recent surveys of 5,000 15 and 16-year-olds living and growing up in the region. So you'll notice that students are reporting high levels of alcohol exposure and relevant levels of drunkenness. And what we find is that there's an interesting correlation parental attitudes and actual behaviour around substance use. So perceived parental tolerance, when there is perceived parental tolerance, we know that young people are actually drinking more. It tells us that when people tolerate alcohol use, there's automatically more consumption, and inversely, when there's the perception of less tolerance around alcohol, there's actually factually less alcohol use. So the message here is very clear to parents and guardians that your attitudes and communication around substance use is very important. What we do notice from our surveys is that young people are drinking more, and they're drinking more hazardously. And that's something that we want to try to address. We can see here on this slide, it very clearly outlines the connection and the relationship here with parental attitudes and perceptions of young people around tolerance of use of alcohol and cannabis, and then how that manifests in actual use. So this example shows the critical importance of parental attitudes. The dark orange bar shows the proportion of young people who became drunk in the last 30 days correlated with the perceived parental attitude to drunkenness. Felt that their parents wouldn't care so much if they got drunk. And the lighter orange bar then shows the proportion of teenagers who've used cannabis correlated with their perceived parental attitudes to drunkenness. So then again, young people who feel that the parents would be totally against it if they used alcohol and or cannabis, less likely to actually use. Our current HSE campaign on vaping tells us that 1 in 5 young people vape, and we know there's a significant connection to this and potential dependency around nicotine, as well as the use of other substances with potential dependency on other substances going forward. Vaping is another area of concern, and in relation to socialising and nights out, it's something that we need to be considering. Their national and global campaigns rolled out around alcohol use that inform us that alcohol is a neurotoxin, that there's no safe level of alcohol use for anyone at any age, and that alcohol is a group 1 carcinogenic. We know the teen brain is still in a stage of significant growth and development up to about 27 years of age, and we can see the other impacts here of alcohol and how it affects the brain in terms of judgment impairment, mental health, learning and memory, systematic issues that it can cause throughout the body and the other organs, automatic functions like executive functions, decision making impairment, risk taking, potential clumsiness, and other vital functions of our heart and lungs and our other organs in our body, and a significant impact there by alcohol. This reminds us of why it is essential to create a safe, substance-free environment in which the brain and organs can grow, particularly in the bodies of young adolescents that are growing and developing at a fast rate and pace during the teenage years. It's really important that we're going to encourage delaying the onset of alcohol use or substance use exposure for as long as possible in their life. So parents can be proactive and prepared around this whole area. I suppose one of the most obvious things to do, and it's what a lot of parents are already doing, is linking in with others, with other parents, collaborating around planning events, making sure that also that there's support at home in terms of partnership, if there's a partner there to support you, or other family members, adults, responsible adults that can support you around these conversations around decision making and helping your young person navigate their social life. We know that there's services available there if you need them. And we're going to be signposting our Parent Hub as a resource to you as parents or guardians that you can access freely and confidentially at your own pace in just a few minutes. But there are also many resources available through the school, staff, like for example guidance counsellors, homeschool liaison or school completion officers, and their supports through family resource centres and through our own Western Region Drug and Alcohol Task Force family support team. There's a lot of guidance that people can avail of readily and freely, and we would encourage you to do that if you so wish. Even the fact that you're viewing this webinar might be an opportunity to bring up the topic with your child, a teachable moment, we like to call it, to have a conversation. We would encourage the use of, prompts by social media or by current issues that are coming up and the prevalence of substance use in social media, maybe in our general media or in our lives, as an opportunity to have conversations with our young people to help prepare them for navigating substance use in their future. We know that young people are curious and they want this information. They look to us as a guidance around it. We can't assume that they already know how to navigate this domain or that they're aware and informed. So there is a responsibility on us as parents and guardians to provide clear information and guidance for our young people. As we build protective factors, we automatically reduce risk factors around the area of substance use. Protective factors are developmentally sensitive. They change as we age. Like, for example, a key protective factor for a child is attachment to a parent, and this might change somewhat to maybe more into monitoring by a parent for a teen, for example. So there's more on risk and protect factors over on our Parent Hub. There's a full section designated to that, and you can refer to that for your own information or for further information around this area if you so wish. So really important that we are engaging around safe travel to and from events, that events are supervised. Our young people are minors, they're under 18. There's a duty of care for all mandated people in their lives in society, but also for ourselves as parents and guardians, that we are kept up to date of where they are, what they're doing and who they're with. it is a good idea to check in or to arrange a check-in during the event. If it's a night or a day or a festival, that we arrange a time where there'll be an agreed check-in, a call or a text to see how things are going for them. That offers them the opportunity as an option to opt out if they want to get collected early or they're not comfortable, they're not happy with what's going on, that they have the opportunity then during that bit of contact with yourself to decide to either come home or to continue on where they are. So it's helping them with that extra bit of support to navigate the event or the social occasion. Imperative too that we mention at this point that whilst we're using phones and devices to check in, and they're really helpful in this way, that we don't lean into phones and devices as a way to substitute good old eye contact or face-to-face contact. We can tell a lot from what's going on in our child's life by being present with them, and it's important that we don't lean into just the devices for that connection or for that contact, but that we're having adequate time in person with them as well. Another tip for nights out, for events, is to make sure that their phone is charged up and that they have an adequate amount of credit in there to be contactable and to make contact. So it's helpful if parents can encourage young people around that to make sure that the phone is charged up and that it's not on silent or do not disturb, that they're able to take your call and respond to that check-in as it happens. It's helpful to everyone to have regular conversations on this topic, that we don't try to fit in all the guidance at once or in one conversation, that we allow space between conversations so our teen has an opportunity to process what's been said, to test and try out what's been said, and to come back with questions or queries they might have around it. So approachability is important here, that it's not a once-off taboo, serious discussion, but it's more of a conversation that they feel they can come back to you on, and that you can come back to them on at an age and stage appropriate level, because the conversation we're going to be having it with a 14-year-old around how they socialise and events they go to versus a 17-year-old is going to be quite different in nature. So it's important that we move with that growth period to reach the conversation with our child at an appropriate level, and that it progresses through teenage years. Please reassure them that they can always call you at any time, and that they will never get in trouble for getting help, even if there is substance use on board. They're doing the right thing by getting help, and please let them know that they can reach out to a responsible adult at any time, and that is the right thing to do. And with that, discussing how they might manage emergency situations as they occur, looking at various different scenarios and setups, and how they might manage to get out of a tricky situation where substances have been offered, for example. It's a good idea too to keep an eye on the supply of alcohol and substances in your home, as well as being mindful of your attitudes and behaviours around substance use at home. So I mentioned previously our Stay Safe, Stay Sober initiative, and I want to invite you now to have a view of the summary clip of the information that was shared with teens in their schools over the past recent time in advance of Junior Cert results night. So this is a summary of the guidance that young people received from ourselves and on Garda Síochána, some safety tips and advice. And you'll notice that it's reflected with you as parents what they have been asked to remember when they go out at night. So vulnerability alone, sticking together, staying together, knowing the law, and knowing the risks they're taking in relation to substance use, managing scenarios when they're under pressure, being contactable, getting informed, getting support, and obviously the best decision for young people under 18 at this developmental stage in their life is to stay safe by staying sober. Over on our Parent Hub, we have the Teenage Years Guide to Protecting Yourself on a Night Out, a resource that we've designed to support young people around how they navigate social situations. It's available on our Parent Hub as a downloadable flyer. And there's also a video scribe video version of it as well for people who prefer to watch rather than read or download a resource like this. The HSE Safer Nightlife programme is continuing its rollout, as is all the information campaigns from drugs.ie. on these kind of topics, and you'll see these reflected in social media and circulated out in our various different domains. So keep an eye out on the messaging, particularly running into midterm time now. We're just at the end of October, and moving into the midterm break and Halloween times. Be in the know around where your young person is, around what they're doing, who they're with, and making safety a priority this Halloween. Our Stay Safe, Stay Sober initiative, you'll see messaging like the slip on when teens go out at night circulated at key times throughout the calendar year, when young people are likely to be having a break from school, maybe celebratory times, special occasions, where celebration is more than likely to take place. So this HSE Parents Guide Drug and Alcohol Resource is another really helpful booklet that we would like to signpost to you. It sits on all of the national spaces to access it, but it's also on our Parent Hub as a downloadable document there. Again, encouraging boundaries around young people and substance use, the importance of building relationship, of knowing where they are, of not giving alcohol to under 18s, etc. So it's one that we would really like to highlight as a particularly useful resource, very informative to parents, that we would recommend you having a look at. So coming back to remembering that you are the most important resource to your teen. You're a powerful role model, and being conscious of the storage of substances in our home, but our attitudes, habits, and behaviours around substances in our home as well. The suite of WRDATF, Western Region Drug and Alcohol Task Force resources, available to you over on our website, but also on our Parent Hub. More specifically, just to indicate the Teenage Years resource, a Parent's Guide to Protecting Your Teen on a Night Out, which summarises most of the information shared with you in this webinar. We also have our pre-teen years and our teen years resources, which are leaflets that to guide you around tips and information, practical tools around how to have a conversation with your child at a stage level to their. The ways to support your teen are indicated here on this slide. Our webinars are available to watch back on YouTube, but it's important that we're aiming for connection here and not perfection as parents. So that connection been vitally important, maintaining a structure and routine at home, noticing and acting on behavioural changes of concern, listening to your instinct, to your gut instinct as a parent. It's the most powerful tool you have in relation to connecting in with your young person and what's going on with them. If you feel like something is different, ask, check in. If you notice something, a physical change or behavioural change, certainly we need to be asking and checking in on that. Listen to the voice of concern inside yourself, and do your best to get support for yourself around that. Do what you can to help them have an enjoyable school experience, encourage involvement in hobbies and sports. All of these elements are protective factors around substance use that are indicated and very well evaluated and studied, and really solid pieces when it comes to creating a routine and a habit that's healthy with your young person to encourage well-being and to act as protection around substance use. Knowing where your teenager is key. Taking an interest in their friends and activities, looking after yourself, and role playing, staying connected with other parents, role modelling there for young people around how important it is to look after ourselves. Just a reminder of the mychild.ie campaign, aiming for connection, not for perfection. And this is a nice image to act as a reminder, as a takeaway message from our drugs task force, is that the frontal lobe, the brain development, is still continuing in our young person as they're growing right up to maturity, up to 25 plus years of age, maybe even up as far as 27 years of age. We still see changes in the brain, particularly the frontal cortex, indicating maturity in adulthood. So the message here is that delaying the onset of substance use for as long as possible is the best choice for our teen. We know that young people who start using psychoactive substances before the age of 15 are statistically 4 times more likely to develop dependency in adulthood. And that dependency and addiction can be any type of addictive behaviour. But that's not something that we don't want to be setting ourselves up for. So delaying the onset for as long as possible is the most important element here. Reminder, we see this HSE campaign which encourages us to have conversations with our teen about alcohol regularly to help prepare them for the choices they make as they get older, that this is part of a regular conversation and not just a once-off talk. Our Parent Hub is available for you to access via our Drugs Task Force homepage website, wrdatf.ie, and you'll see the Parent Hub icon there at the top of the page and at the link address there at the bottom of your screen. Parent Hub is designed for parents and guardians of preteens, of teenagers, and of adult children, so over 18s who are still our children and still need our guidance and support. Information and support is provided under the areas of prevention, early intervention, and support and treatment. We'd really encourage you to head over to the Parent Hub to have a look at the section that resonates most with you right now, but also to explore the other sections in a preparatory nature so that you're informed and prepared for moving forward with your teen. We have some key protective factors as indicated by the HSE. Helpful takeaway message from this webinar, where we're looking at elements like that close relationship elements, having a conversation about substance use, the risks around substance use, and coming back to that regularly. Elements like parental presence been very important, knowing where your child is, knowing what they're doing, not substituting technology. Technology can be really helpful for a check-in throughout an event, for example, but that we're staying present with our young person and current what's going on for them in their lives. Boundaries are very important. It's imperative that your young person knows the rules in your house and knows the consequences connected with those rules, and that we have the capacity to stick to our boundaries and follow through on consequences. So to make consequences and boundaries that are realistic, that are helpful, and that are clearly communicated with our team. And with that, the message is very clear to not give alcohol to under 18s. We also want to be setting a good example with our own use of substances, and that we're modelling a way of coping with stress and anxiety, and that we can clearly, our young person can clearly learn from us in terms of how they cope or how they're going to manage situations as they arise in their life going forward. So not losing sight of the importance of that role modelling impact that we have with our team. So our Parent Hub short webinar series is available to view over on YouTube and on our Parent Hub. As always, the best way to keep informed is through our social media platforms and our website. As I said, recorded webinars are here on YouTube, and the website is a great source of information overall for parents and guardians. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to view this webinar, and please do stay connected on the next upcoming webinars in our Parent Hub webinar series.